Hello and welcome. In today's video, I will be sharing with you the truth about subconscious mind and limiting beliefs. I am going to explain how that really affects all of your life and how fighting or ignoring your subconscious mind is and your limiting beliefs is really draining your energy. And I will share with you 3 ways in which you can rewire your brain today. In my early and mid-20s, I have suffered with worst of the depression I had. And frankly, I was suicidal. I was so tired with the ups and downs and how I felt and how I approached my life that I started to looking for an answer to what is wrong with my brain and me. I went through many books until I finally found what I was looking for, that I am not a subject to my brain and my conditioning and that I can change it. That was my first glimpse into neuroplasticity, neuroscience, and epigenetics. When you get your subconscious mind working for you, you will unlock incredible amount of energy. Your life will shift, you will have more flow and lightness and ease in your life. And your body will start to heal because finally the whole of you will be working towards the same goal. For those who don't know me, my name is Arleta, and after many years of struggling with low energy and many physical issues, I have embarked on a journey of studying and learning anything I could about what it really takes to heal my body holistically without the one-size-fits-all solution out there. I have tackled depression and gluten intolerance and many other physical issues. And as a IAN certified health coach with specialization in gut health, as a Theta healer and soon to be nutritional therapist, I am here to help you do the same. So let's dive into understanding how your subconscious mind and limiting beliefs can drain your energy and what you can do about it. So first, the most important things which we really need to understand is the fact that our subconscious mind is controlling, managing about 95% of our functioning. And only about 5% of our life of our functioning is going through conscious mind. This is one of the main reasons why in many cases people are trying to use their conscious mind to attract something, to change something, to shift something in how they think or how they function, but it really doesn't seem to be doing much. And that is because if you have a 5% going against 95%, it's going to be really heavy process. And this is one of the reasons why our energy get incredibly drained when we go against our subconscious mind and against our limiting beliefs. As well, it's not to say that we don't want to reprogram it or we don't want to be aware, but it is more to understand that the real shifts and the real change are happening when we work with the subconscious mind. Subconscious programming or subconscious beliefs, which we often refer to as limiting beliefs, I thought we can have a positive belief, so they're not all limiting, but whichever a belief you have in subconscious mind, it's blocking you or stopping you from getting where you want to get, stopping you from being happy or finding a partner or just having better communication or whatever else really, this will be referred to as limiting belief. And another thing which is important to know is that most of our subconscious mind is programmed before the age of 7 or so. And throughout, there is a certain degree to which that programs are being absorbed throughout our very early childhood, usually till the age of 7 is most of it happening. Then we have a very small window of additional programs being added to our mind or to our subconscious mind. And because of that, well, it's worth remembering that it's probably good to be very aware and careful about what we say around kids, because their minds are not working the same way as our minds works. Children's mind are so absorbing of a beliefs and programming, let's say it, because they are functioning in different brain wave. It is commonly known that the brainwave, which is a doorway into a subconscious mind, it's a theta brainwave, and that is used in hypnosis. We are in the theta brainwave just before sleep, just when we have this moment where we are slightly awake but we're already falling asleep, and the same happens in the morning when we are awake but not completely. So that's when the subconscious mind is easiest to access. And that's when children are throughout their very early childhood. Therefore, they're almost always in this hypnosis state in which whatever is said, really, they almost take in as a truth and as a way of functioning. And there are different ways how that happens, and not every child will accept every belief, but that's a conversation for a different day. And that's why it is so much harder to access those from conscious mind, because when we are conscious throughout most of our days, we are in completely different brainwave. So how would you recognize that you have a limiting belief? Some of those will be very obvious. If you really struggle with maybe self-talk, which is not really positive, or body images, or even insecurities or lack of confidence, that may indicate that there is a certain set of limiting beliefs which are holding you from being confident or feeling good in your body, and so on. Another way in which you can notice that you have limiting beliefs is when the things are difficult in your life, when you feel heavy, you keep pushing towards achieving something and it's incredibly hard. You're really feeling this energetic and emotional and physical heaviness and difficulty. I think it's important to know that we should not see our subconscious mind as something evil or bad. A subconscious mind is incredibly useful. Most of our habits operate on, well, actually all our habits operate on subconscious mind. Once a action becomes a habit, it goes into subconscious mind, it goes on autopilot, which means we don't really need to think about how to breathe. We don't really need to think about how to walk. You don't need to stop your whole body functions in order to have a thought and analyze something, because these kind of functions are happening automatically. So this is where the magic happens. When we get subconscious mind to work for us, it works automatically for what we want, as opposed to we fight it and it goes in one direction where we tells it to go different direction. And then you feel like you're dragging these tons and tons of luggage or baggage with you, because your subconscious mind has a different program and you're trying to get it to go right where it is programmed to go only left. So that is just an example. So another thing which links to our subconscious mind is habits. There is a lot of work out there about habits. You cannot remove a habit. You need to more or less replace it with something else. So often when habits, because habits are habits, we are not very conscious of them. The way to catch ourselves with changing or reprogramming a habit is to look for so-called cue. There will be a cue before the habit action will start on, and that might be anything from, you know, lifting your head to find a cigarette, or or putting a kettle on for having a coffee, or certain things that you need to kind of observe yourself and bring that awareness into observation of yourself, where that cue occurs before the habit happens. And when you catch yourself on that cue, this is where you can then shift and put something else in that place. And you may need to repeat that quite a few times before your subconscious mind accepts that there was a change of habit, because the cue will still be there to send a message that there will be a habit happening, but the habit will be different. Take a conscious action in that moment to do something else than you normally do, and keep repeating this until that new things becomes a habit. This is important because subconscious mind is working through habits. Equally to reprogramming your subconscious mind or changing your limiting beliefs, you may want to change unhealthy habits which don't work for you. So now let's talk about the three different things you can do to reprogram your mind, your subconscious mind. First one is repetition. I'm sure you already heard of that. Very often that's referred as affirmations. Affirmations, mantras are very similar. Things you keep repeating to yourself, which are things you want to think, feel, believe, and so on. And at the beginning, it tends to be very hard because we are going on autopilot. Therefore, your mind might be repeating certain things to you which you don't necessarily enjoy. But affirmation can be anything. Like, for example, I am happy, or I am loved, or I am successful, and things like that. Mantras work the same way. The only difference with mantra is that there are said in Sanskrit, therefore it's not English or whatever language you're using. Different mantras have a different meanings, and they will as well help you. Personally as well, I think there is a more power to mantras because they work with certain vibration and sounds, but for whatever you want to do, you can use affirmation. So that's the first thing you can do. The thing about affirmation and the thing about repeating them is that it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and takes quite a lot of back and forth, and that's normal. In some points and others you're going to hit a block. Let's say if you have been depressed and you keep repeating to yourself, I'm happy, it will feel fake and it will not feel very real. But once you start doing this, when you repeat them a lot of times, affirmation or mantras, at some point your brain will take it into autopilot and it will start repetitive for you. Therefore, you don't really need to consciously think about being happy, because you already think that I'm happy, and your subconscious mind will do it for you. So this is the process to which you want to get, is repetition. Anyone can do that. It is possible for absolutely everyone and anyone. Make yourself a bit more conscious and aware of your self-talk or thoughts going on through your mind. And whenever you remember, whenever you have that awareness, you bring on the affirmation. Or you can start in the morning with a set of affirmation. You can write it somewhere on your laptop, sticky post, or on your phone, and just send you even reminders every 10 minutes with that affirmation. Therefore, it will start to become more of a habit, and you will make it more present in your mind. If you want to be confident and you keep repeating yourself, I am confident, what you may need to do is search through all your day throughout. Let's say in the evening, you think about everything you did during the day and think of the occurrences and actions and situation in which you felt confident. And it may not be in every single area of your life, but I bet that you're going to find one area of your life in which you felt confident, or one thing you felt confident, and you keep conditioning your brain and your mind to that feeling and that thought. I have used affirmation at the very beginning when I was struggling with my depression, and when I was trying to figure out how to deal with it. I did not know all the stuff I know right now, and the only thing I could do was then to try those affirmation and few other things, and they worked. It took much more work than what I do these days, but it was still worth it, because it got me where I needed to get in order to get farther. So then the second thing you can do to rewire your brain or rewire your subconscious mind, you really want to tap into the Theta Brainwave. That can be done through hypnosis. The other time which you can do it is just before sleep and just after waking, is the best time in which you can access your subconscious mind. When you can insert programming straight into your subconscious mind, as opposed to through affirmation, you do it through conscious mind. If you can insert programs straight into subconscious mind through that window of time, just after waking or just before sleeping, it's going to work much quicker. It's just going to settle in, which will make it easier for you. So there are certain ways in which you can do that. You can, for example, keep doing the affirmation throughout the days, but you can as well get just before sleep, keep repeating, almost like falling asleep with that affirmation. You can equally as well, first thing when you wake up, have it somewhere really near your bed, somewhere where you will look straight in, and then have the same affirmation, because you will be in that theta brainwave, and that will make it so much easier for you to insert that program or that affirmation into your mind. Another thing which you can do is brain sync music. So you can either do a music which enhances certain brainwaves. I will link in the description. There is a music I used to use. I used it for years actually. Sometimes it might be very good to listen to it just before sleep or just after waking, because you are naturally in that state. So it's even easier to accept those beliefs or those new messages you want your brain to have in order for you to live the life you want to live. And the third thing which you can do to reprogram your mind is a energy psychology, and there's so many different ways of doing that. EFT or tapping is one of those things which will do that. You work then with energy, and you almost bypassing the conscious mind in a certain way, or you're doing this with the body. There is a bit more wholesome and more holistic way of reprogramming your mind. There is something called body code, which I actually tried, and I work with some practitioners which did that, but the one I love the most, probably I might be slightly biased, is the Theta healing, which I have been doing for last few years. I am certified in that. I found that the easiest because you work with subconscious mind, but as well with the emotion. There is so many different ways of doing that. You can literally go and look into different modalities and see what works for you. But from my own experience, I know you can do it any of those ways I gave you. Some of them are faster, some of them are slower. It really depends on where you are right now, how you're feeling, what works for you. Different things will work for different people, so that's important to know. In Theta healing, it is energy healing, connecting with subconscious work. So we dig for so-called bottom belief, and once you get to the root belief of a certain blocks, and you resolve that root belief, sometimes we replace it with positive ones, sometimes we just release them. Everything else what grew on the top of it will fall. Therefore, you can do a lot of work just through getting to one bottom belief, as opposed to with affirmation you may need to work through all of those on the top, then you go on the bottom ones, and again and again and again until you get to the root one. There is a few different people who talk about this kind of reprogramming. One, as I mentioned, is Bruce Lipton, and he's the guy who wrote the book Biology of Belief. He is a doctor specializing in epigenetics, as far as I'm aware, I think, and neuroplasticity, probably many other things. Sorry if I didn't get it completely right, but he is a person who talks about how the environment you are in will be affecting the expression of genes. Therefore, we are not really subject to our genes and DNA. We are subject to what we expose ourselves and the environment we live in. Another person which is good to check out, I will link it in the description, is Joe Dispenza. He works with meditations as well and reprogramming subconscious mind, and he has a series of books about how to reprogram yourself. I have attended one of the Joe Dispenza's workshops, which I loved and I found really, really amazing. So let's recap. So you want to get your subconscious mind on your side in order to achieve anything you want, really, and whether it is healthier body or more confident you or better relationships. In order to do that, you need to understand that subconscious mind is 95% of your functioning. A conscious mind is 5% of your functioning. So there are certain things you can do in order to change, reprogram, or resolve a programs in your subconscious mind and insert a new ones. One thing you can do is to work with your habits. So if you want to change unhealthy habits and shift it to a new one, you can do that through repetition of finding a cue before the habit occurs, and then shifting consciously from one thing you're doing into other for a number of at least 3 weeks, then continue after that. until it becomes very well cemented as a new habit. Here are as well the 3 things you can do to rewire your subconscious mind. The first one is repetition through, for example, affirmation of mantra. Keep repeating a positive statement which you can associate feeling with, and ideally as well visualize it. And the second one is to utilize hypnosis or a Theta Brainwave, which is just before sleep or just after waking. You can pair it up with the affirmation and try to insert them then, or use a brain synchronized music which will get your brainwave into that one, which Theta Brainwave, which acts as subconscious mind, and then insert affirmation as well. And the third thing which I find works the best and the fastest is through energy psychology. And there is various modalities in which you can try, whether it is EFT or tapping, whether it is some other energy healing modalities or theta healing. That's up to you. Find something that works for you. And that is how you get your subconscious mind on your side. So thank you very much for listening. I hope that you have now better understanding of what it takes to reprogram your subconscious mind and how to understand it in order to have it working for you as opposed to fighting against it. If you like the video, please click the like. It really helps my channel, and subscribe if you want to hear more about holistic health. Please let me know in the comments which of those things you're doing, or maybe what habit or a belief you're really struggling with. What do you think you could replace it with, and how you could approach it? I would really love to hear from you. And until the next time, love and positive vibes. Bye. And that